One of the hardest losses for men in divorce is often not talked about. And in today's video, we're going to talk about it. We're also going to share some opportunities for you to navigate that space. Most people in divorce, they think about the big things, the losses that are normal, that everyone talks about if they're going to talk about divorce at all. You're going to talk about the loss of the house, who got what car, and what they did with the kids. But that is not the biggest losses that we typically experience. The biggest losses that we experience are on the emotional side. And one of the ones that can hurt the most on the emotional side is one that we're not often talking about. It's one that, man, it can really drive deep. And so in today's video, we're going to touch on that. But first, let's talk about some of those other losses. The house, the cars, what we do with the kids. These are important, and that's not what I'm trying to take away from today. These are critical ones. What we want to talk about today is friendships. It's the things that you don't really see coming in divorce. It can often be the most challenging. Losing your friends, or what you perceive as your friends, can be really hit hard. And this isn't to say anything about me and my personal friendships that I've lost, because friendships are always evolving. Friendships are always changing. And as you move from point A to point B, this happens even more and more. You can change. I think that's a good perspective to have. Think about it in relation to a move. Think of it in relation to a new job. Well, it's pretty normal if you look at the losses that we experience friendship with in divorce, right? So if you start a new job, you're probably going to lose some of your friends that you had at work. If you move locations, you're probably not going to be able to hang out at the same places, do the same things, spend the same time with the same people. So in that arena, if we look at it that way, in that lens, then divorce is just like moving and or starting a new job. You're gonna have differences in friendships. And so I guess it's pretty normal to lose friends in divorce when we look at it that way. And so you may notice this in your adventures, that some of the friends you lose right away. They're just gone overnight. They used to text, they used to invite you over, you guys used to hang out. And that's another thing too, is like, you're going from a married person to a non-married person. I always see that friendships kind of evolve as we evolve, right? So as we go from single, maybe in college or in high school even, and we start dating, we start hanging out with other people that are dating, right? And this continues through our 20s as we go from single to dating to engaged and to married. Our friends kind of evolve in that picture too. You almost kind of gravitate towards the phase in life that you're in. Or it can kind of be polar, meaning I had friends where I would be single and then they would be in a relationship, and vice versa. When I would be in a relationship, their relationships may be ending or they would be single. So you're going to have some of that push-pull dynamics for sure in your relationships and friendships. But generally speaking, what I noticed with myself and with working with other men is that you are attracted to people that have the same type of social dynamics or relationships that you're in. Meaning, if you're a married man you're probably going to be friends with other married couples. Your wife can hang out with their wife. And as you guys evolve, you're probably going to be pulled closer to couples that are pregnant when you're pregnant, couples that have one or two kids when you have one or two kids, maybe even larger families when you have a larger family, or when you have a smaller family, maybe you're attracted to larger families. So really the dynamic is just always evolving and changing, but there's a rhyme to the reason. There's correlation, not necessarily causation here, but there's a lot of connected dots and symmetry. So it only makes sense that when we get divorced, that these feelings, that these emotions, that these friendships change as well. And it can hit really hard. I think that's the big point here is overnight, the relationship, even if it was challenging and unhealthy, overnight, there's still that love that we often feel. And maybe for men, this hits harder because 90% of divorces are initiated by females or by the wife, by the woman in the relationship. And so it can often be a surprise to men that we're getting divorced in the first place. Maybe for years you've heard it, or a year or months, right? But it's been typically a prolonged thing. It's typically something that's threatened over time. Hey, I want a divorce. I'm not happy. I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe you both are saying this to each other, and that's often the case. But it doesn't seem to hit until somebody has filed the papers. It becomes official at that point. And that's when you start to immediately see friends being lost. You might see some distance before then, especially like if the friends are initiated on their side, meaning your friendship came from a relationship she brought into the relationship of you and her. But it doesn't really happen overnight until that paperwork drops, until it's official, until there's division, so to speak. That first division, when it turns from a loving relationship, and loving even with toxicity, even with unhealthiness, is still a loving relationship. And the love will last much farther after that point. But when it becomes official, boom, overnight, you've lost an immediate group of friends. You won't hear from them. You won't see them again, most likely. And they're not going to be engaging with you. And that's okay. That's all right. I mean, these people were probably not your friends first. And it's understandable that they would immediately take one side of the action, or maybe they just don't feel comfortable, right? Maybe they aren't comfortable in their own space to want to engage with you anymore because they'd feel like their loyalty with their original friend, your ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife in this case, would be more important. And I totally respect that. So there's the friends that you lose out the gate. Understandable, it happens. I'm glad we talked about it. Maybe we can not take it so personally. I know for me, it was really hard. I didn't have anyone to talk it over with. And that's why I'm sharing with you today. Because now I'm able to look at it at a different lens, a different perspective. Something that I gained through therapy many years ago. Next up are the friends that kind of stick around. And they're kind of waiting things out. They're not really sure. They're like, ooh, ah. They're testing the waters because they're trying to sort out for themselves where they stand in this relationship. How are they going to navigate forward? These are friends that are probably paralleled you into where they were in the relationship, right? So if you were just newly married, they might be just newly married too. If potentially they might have one or two kids, and they're still great people and you're great people, but you've now entered a new path and a new journey in life. And they're hanging around to figure out, okay, where do we fit in this relationship? Where does this gentleman fit in our lives? And also, you can be pretty sad and depressed in the beginning phases of divorce. That's not always a place that people want you around. And right? So you're going to have those friends that stick around, that still care for you, but maybe aren't sure how you fit in their lives anymore. And that's understandable too. And then lastly, well, I guess not lastly, you're going to have friends that are sticking around to support you, but aren't really there to support you. They're there to kind of watch the train wreck. They're there to report behind the scenes to other people and to other supposed friends about what's going on. Did you hear this? Or maybe they're there to report to your ex, right? You'll never really know these things, but your gut will kind of guide you in the sense of whether this is a healthy relationship or not. And so just trust yourself in this space. You know, I personally find it a good time. I guess this is in hindsight. But as I was interacting in these spaces in the first year or so after divorce, I was able to start making the decisions for myself. It's like, does this person serve me anymore? And that's what you should ask yourself here. Is, does this person serve me in the place that I am and the place that I want to go, right? And if you can use that metric, that asking those questions, it can really guide you forward in a positive space. And lastly, the fourth type of friend that you'll have in a relationship is the type of friend that's there to 100% support you. The ride or die, the one that you call up in the middle of the night and it's like, hey buddy, I need help. They're there for you. That friend, there's only a couple of them. Maybe there's only one. Maybe it'll be one for a period of time and that will change. They will fade, they will move on, and you will move on, and or you will move on, I guess, is probably more appropriate to say. And that's totally understandable. And these friends are critical at the phases of divorce recovery that you're going through. But try not to take it personal. You know, try to look back at the original example here. If we moved in life from one place to another, if we changed a job, which many of us have experienced in life before, from one job to another, we're going to change our lives. We're going to change the people that we hang around with, and we're going to change a lot of things. So friendships evolve. And that's really the point of this story. The point of this video or story today is that friendships evolve. And it's about understanding that, not taking it personal, and moving forward regardless. Because I really don't think, in my experience, that anyone had ill will, whether it was the friends that cut first go out the gate, picked the loyalty card, or decided, hey, I didn't want to be a part of this anymore. I get it, I respect it. Still got love for you. The ones that were trying to decide that were in and out, and weren't really sure, I got love for you, totally respect it. You know, many of us, well, I don't know any of us that have trained for this, right? Divorce is not something that we're taught or trained for. It's something that we experience and then have to decide in action, in the real time, how we want to navigate the space. Then you have the friends that stick around and they're just there to watch. You'll figure that out and you'll find a way to distance yourself, hopefully in a healthy way, set a clean boundary, clear boundary. And when it's not respected, you can just move on from there. And lastly, the friends that are there to support you. Those ones, the ride or dies, some of them will be in your life for the rest of your life. Some of them will just be in and they'll move too. New places, new relationships, have new things in their life. Doesn't take away how special they are and how important they are to you at that phase of your life. You'll always be grateful for them. But we all evolve and change. And it's that evolution, that change that happens, that life changes and happens. And it's only natural that you're going to change with life. So with that, I'll leave you with this. You are the average sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely.